Hello, my name is Connor. I'm the Digital Learning Coordinator at Coláiste Ciarán, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about selecting a suitable device for your son or daughter to use in our school. So technology has become an essential tool for today's student, with recent curricular reforms requiring students to conduct research, create presentations, and other changes to subjects along the line that requires the use of technology. It's an essential piece of kit. So in this video I'm going to talk to you about how we use technology at Coláiste Ciarán and how to inform your decision on selecting a device. So we use Google Workspace here at Coláiste Ciarán, which is Google's suite of tools, including Classroom, which allows teachers to set assignments and share resources with students, and students can create resources, create documents and spreadsheets and presentations, all within the Google Workspace system, all online, and anything they create or work on in school, if they have internet connection at home, they can continue working on it there as well. So with that in mind, Workspace does work across a range of devices like Microsoft Windows devices, Apple iPads, etc. But so those devices can be used in Coláiste Ciarán for those purposes. But if you're looking at buying a new device for using technology in the school, I would recommend going with a Chromebook, and I'm going to look at a number of reasons why. So Chromebooks come in a range of shapes and sizes and a range of prices, starting at around €200 all the way up to over €1,000. One of the nice features of the Chromebooks is all the essential tasks that would be required in school can be done on the entry-level Chromebook for around €200–250. Now, why might you pay more than that? I will look at that in a second as well. So Chromebooks, what makes a Chromebook? A Chromebook is the first thing to talk about. A Chromebook is a notebook or laptop that uses Google's Chrome OS. And the advantages of that is it's very low maintenance. It comes on really quickly. One single sign-on will get the student into their school account and all their files straight away. And also, if there's any issue with the Chrome, it can be reset very easily with a key combination. So like your phone, you can do a factory reset, and it's a very fast process and usually gets it back up and running. So low maintenance would be the first advantage of the Chromebooks. The second then, as I mentioned already, the price point. You can get a decent Chromebook for $200–250. And third thing then would be battery life. Battery life on most Chromebooks is between 6–8 hours, give or take, and that will ensure full day computing. So if it's charged up at night, it should last the student through the day. Here are two models we use here at Coláiste Ciarán. These were supplied by PCP in Dublin, and I'm going to look at them and why we would choose these models and why we use them. So this is one of our student devices that we would have been using as a class set, and as you can see, the design of the device, it's rubberized all the way around, so this is something to factor in. We would choose these kind of education specific Chromebooks because they are designed to be pretty robust and take a few knocks. You can get very nice design Chromebooks that don't have those protections built in, so it might be worth looking at spending some extra to get the ruggedized standard, and you'll know by the design. I mean, Chromebooks, you can pick them up locally in any of the retailers: Curry's, PC World, Argos, Down Store, Jack Fitzgerald, Tech Store. Apologies if I've left anyone out. And you can go in and see them and see. If not, you can look online. The supplier that we get, PCP, will supply directly to parents as well. And you can look at the education-focused ones, have the ruggedized shells usually. So there's a couple of things you might look at in choosing a device. Now, like a lot of the internals of the Chromebooks are the same, but I'm just going to give you a couple of pointers. So firstly, the screen size. We find the 11.6-inch screen, which is this one, and if you're wondering, screens are always measured diagonally, that's a nice size for students to bring around school with them. It's nice and portable, slip in a bag, etc. If a student was going to do a lot of work on them as their primary device, you could look at getting a bigger 14-inch screen. Also, most Chromebooks you can plug into external monitors, but some of them require adapters to do this, and some of them will have a standard HDMI port built in. This one, for instance, doesn't, so you'd need an adapter to plug it into an external monitor. The other thing with the screen, you'll notice if you're looking at specifications or a list of details of the machines, some of them will have higher resolution screens. So resolution is the number of dots that make up the image on the screen. So the higher the resolution, the more detailed an image it can display. On the lower end, €250-ish devices, you're looking at a resolution of what's called high definition, 1366 by 768. If you get a bigger screen, a more expensive Chromebook, you could be getting what's called full high definition, which is 1080p. So more dots making up the image means more fine detail can be displayed. And then the more expensive ones could be up to 4K, which is have really high resolution, which allows very detailed image to be displayed. But you'll find that like even the basic ones, you know, they're fine for everyday use. Second thing you might look at on the specifications is the memory, and there's two places you'll see memory being mentioned. One is RAM, which is the memory the computer uses when it's working stuff out, and the other is storage, which is where the computer stores files. And the confusing thing is they're both measured in the same quantity, which is gigabytes. So in a Chromebook, you're looking to really get start at a 4 gigabyte. If you go up to kind of a mid-range one, you might get 8 gigabytes of memory, and the high-end ones could be 16 gigabytes of memory. So more memory will allow you to have more tasks, more tabs open at once, or do more complex things, or if you're gaming or something, you know. So the memory is the working space that the computer, when it's actually working stuff out. So that does have an impact. So we'd recommend going with 4. If you can get one with 8 at the mid-range level, it'll be slightly better in performance. The second place you'll find memory is in storage, and that's how many files the Chromebook can store. Now, the way the workflow works with the Chromebooks, you don't tend to store a lot of files on them. Everything is accessed through the cloud, through Google Drive, and stored online. So storage doesn't tend to be a huge issue, but the basic entry-level Chromebooks will come with maybe 16 gigabytes of storage. 32 gigabytes of storage will allow you to store more files and video on there if you need to. And quite often as well, it's worth considering that a lot of the Chromebooks, like this one for instance, has a memory card slot as well that you can add more storage to if you need it. So depending on what you're doing, if your son or daughter might be doing some activities, videos, or they want to store stuff to watch offline if they don't have the internet for a period of time, something like that, then the storage could come in. So we'd recommend 32 gigs is a good spot to go. So if you've got a 4 gigabyte of memory, 32 gigabytes of storage, and then the last piece of the performance on the computer would be the processor. So there's different makes of processors. With the Intel ones, the entry level is a 3550 Celeron processor. You know, I'd recommend, if you could, get a Celeron 4000 or 4005 or a 4020, one of the 4000 series Celerons. If you're getting a more expensive Chromebook, like a mid-range high-end device, there'll be a different processor in it, an Intel processor called a Core i3 or an i5. There are other processor options, so ARM, which traditionally would have been a phone processor. They've gone so powerful now they're starting to appear in laptops. So you'll find those in Chromebooks. They'll be called a MediaTek or Rockchip, are the two common brands there as well, and Snapdragon is coming on stream with some as well. So with those, the performance is, it's a bit trickier to kind of work out. So what I would do if I was buying one of those, I'd read a couple of reviews and see how they compare. Usually the reviewers will compare them to the Intel offerings. So that's something to think about there. So the memory, 4 gigs minimum. The storage, 16 gigs minimum, 32 gigs is a bit better if you can get it. And then on the processor front, if you're going with a Celeron, if you could get a 4000, you know, that's the one to go for. So other things to consider then are webcams. Most Chromebooks have them built in, but there would be a couple that may not have webcams. And the other thing, in terms of the price of Chromebooks, you might look at spending more to get a few more features, like for instance this one here, which is coming in around the €400 mark, and that is a convertible. So you'll see it's got a flip feature there as well. And the advantage of this is that it comes with a stylus, and you can do notes, you can do handwritten notes and digitize them, or there's a tool called the Jamboard, which Google have, it allows you to do mind maps collaboratively in that. So this is a touchscreen unit here like that, and you've also got, you know, front and rear cameras. So if you're doing some kind of videoing, you've got a camera there and a camera there. So that would be an example of something that's, you know, a slight step up from the entry level. So an entry level machine, you're looking at about, you know, 250 to 300. Something like this will be in the region of 350 to 400. And then you can go up to kind of a mid-range with a larger screen or more advanced specification, and anywhere up to 1,000 plus. So that's the ins and outs of it. If you have any questions about Chromebooks, get in touch with me at cpower@cco.ie. If you want to show me some specification to get my opinion on it, that's fine as well. And you know, so just to kind of recap why we like the Chromebooks, you know, there's a good range in terms of price. They start pretty reasonable compared to other machines. The all-day battery life, they're very low maintenance, and with a student, once they have the school log into the Chromebook, they're away into their files, and they can do anything in terms of submitting, creating, and sharing resources. So I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to seeing your son or daughter next year.